I was hoping you were gonna drop that Lambos. No, I ain't saying nothing yet. Thank you though. Just looking at a couple things. How's everybody's day? Hope we all had a good day. It was a pretty fun one. Few nice trades to be had for sure. There we go. Nice. I love to hear that. Hopefully the little talking VC earlier helped you out a little bit too. And like I said, always send me questions if you got them. I assume that's you, maybe that's somebody else. Travis, how you doing? Nice, love to hear that. Hope everybody had a great day today. Like I said, it's pretty fun. A lot of trades to be had. I just love days where you can trade both ways. There's plenty of places for longs and shorts to make money today, and I love that. Oh wow. Yeah, that's a good day. You shouldn't trade for like a couple weeks after a day like that. I didn't trade that end part of the day. I saw those 556s went down. That was probably like, I bet that was like the trade of trades. Yeah, that's a ripper right there, huh? Welcome, everyone. We'll give it a few more minutes. I'm not sure if we got a mastermind class going on tonight also. I don't remember now. Rudy, how you doing? Oh, you got a mastermind on at 5:30 again. 11:50 Eastern time. I always got to ask. I'm on the West Coast, so I try to figure it out. Oh, well, this one? Oh, no. All right, right around here. Yeah. Yeah, Christina, I'm 5:30. I was looking at 11:50. Oh, this one? I mean, yeah, understandably. I mean, it kind of should. Of course, it ultimately ended up not working out, but you got that big level right there, and it's always tough to want to keep chasing that short. We're down another $5 day. It's always risky down here, especially when we've seen how it's reacted before. This is actually one of the trades we're going to talk about today. We'll just give it a couple more minutes. This is one of the trades we're going to talk about today, just because I mentioned it in voice chat, and so I think some people caught it with me. And that's a big level, and I kept trying to tell people you really want to have your eye on that level, and if we break that one, we likely see 555 fast, and we did in fact see 555 pretty dang quick under there. But ended up being that stopping point for it. But just one of those days where you always want to be careful after this has happened, still trying to get short. Of course it worked, but yeah, we were getting down there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, this market has shown us that it can continue to just keep going up and it can continue to keep going down always, I mean, when these trend days get to trending, it's been pretty hard to stop the trend, and so I get it, I would scold people less nowadays continuing to look for the short or look for the long on those moves up, or in the past couple of weeks it just makes sense. Because the trends, once they start to form in, man, they're holding, which is we'll see. I mean, I think tomorrow's really gonna shake some things up, and uh we'll see what happens. I don't know if it'll be good or bad, but tomorrow should I think tomorrow will cause some nice volatility, and then hopefully we'll have a bit of follow through volatility on the following week. And then we might be in for just some weird trading for a little bit after that till that FOMC meeting comes. Oh yeah, this one right here, Raphael. Nice catch. Yeah, I hit this one. I think I actually hit it again here, but didn't get nothing too good. Oh no, I hit it here and I got stopped out. That's what it was. I got in there too early. Oh yeah, that's a good one. I should talk about both of those trades that I took today. Okay, give me 1 second. Just a few of us tonight. We'll get to rolling. Nice. There you go. Yeah, I didn't really look at the bands much today. I used them on T actually, but that was about it. That was about it. Okay, so give me one more second and welcome everybody. Happy to have you, Dirty River. Tonight we are going to be talking building a trade plan. It's something, it is the number one issue that I see people in OOT have that they just don't do. You need to really plan any trade before you're entering it. A lot of the time when I do these trade plan lectures, I really try to, get into option contracts and why you pick them and analyzing your real risk reward, on your based on your option contract. But tonight we're really going to just focus on some technical stuff. Things that you want to look for on the charts, things that might give you a clue that you do want to enter a trade. We're going to start with talking scalping, day trading stuff. And then for the, last 15, 20 minutes, we're going to talk swing trading. A lot of people like the swing trading lecture. They've been, I can't exactly explain why, but people really, really like to swing trade. And so I've been trying to, I do it all the time. But I like, and especially in a volatile market, we as options traders, we need to take advantage of, intraday volatility and, just those day trades. Those are they're always going to be the least stress. But for whatever reason, people like to swing, I don't know. They don't mind seeing big red. They don't mind those kinds of things. And so we're going to talk a little bit about things that I look for when I want to take a swing trade and, how I analyze it, because obviously you can't use the same stops. You can't do the same kind of thing for a swing trade. You're also at the whim of the market of what it wants to do overnight. If the market's going to gap down, the market's going to gap down and there's nothing you can do about it, or gap up, whatever way you don't want it to go. So that's why I do think if you're entering swing trades, your entry is equally as important as any day trade, any scalp, any of that. Because if you aren't really figuring out all of the parameters before entering a swing trade, you can set yourself up for just some really, really horrendous losses. And then you also need to, respect your stops. You need to have your stops in place and you need to take those stops when they come. One of the main things I see people doing here is, they'll say, oh, I'm going to stop out here. And then 2 hours later, it's a couple bucks past their stop out. And they're like, well, what do I do? It's like, well, if you would have followed your rules, you would have been good to go. So that's going to be the second half, swing trading. And then first half, what we're going to get into here in just a second is scalping and day trading and things that I look for, how I do all of it, where I always start on daily time frames. I know that sounds a little bit weird because of, I'm scalping. And so you're thinking basically very short-term trades, the shortest term trades, and you're using long time frame levels to do it. And the market has just been providing so good for us, great levels to trade around. The levels have been respected, rejections have rejected where they should, bounces have bounced where they should, at least as far as those big major daily levels. And so today I'm gonna talk about SPY. We're gonna start on the daily time frame. I'm gonna kind of show you the two charts that I've had my eyes on for the past little while. And one of them is my like trading every day, my scalping chart. My other one is just sort of the big picture chart, the really major daily levels that I care about that, if we're moving up, I likely feel we're going to move from one to the next. You don't think it's going to happen in one day, but with how this market has been, doing $5+ moves every single day. They just happen to be tracking between those levels very, very well. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start out here on the daily time frame. Again, this is a chart that I've been posting for weeks now. I charted this in Mastermind somewhere right back here, was when we first put all these levels on here. We got all these daily levels from back here, these major highs, any points of consolidation, places where we started to gap up. So these are all just major daily levels. And then obviously the ones with percents, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a fib retracement just from the highs of the lows of this move. And so I like fibs. People have a recent obsession with them. It happens. And then generally people tend to ease off on them a little bit, at least for intraday stuff. But they work really, really amazing on the longer time frames. And they're basically just telling you, how big has your bounce been and when should you really start easing off, the longs or the shorts or whatever it might be. And so that's all these fibs are. If you draw good levels, then you will find that you frequently have a fib that lines up very, very close with the daily level. And so you can see on here, we got some of them that are real, real close. Some of them that are, a buck or two off, whatever it is. And so if you have some nice, good, strong levels, your fibs will frequently line up with them, and your fibs and those levels will frequently be the bounce points. That's what we're looking for. So this is what I've been watching on the daily time frame, basically every single day for the last little while. I've opened up my charts, or I've opened up this daily chart, gone to, the 5 minute or whatever it is, and we can go all the way back to here, gone to the 5 minute, said, okay, in relation to these daily levels, are we above or below them? And so I've just been keeping it wildly simple. Break above them, and I'm buying dips, that's simple. And then if we start maybe breaking below some of these levels, then maybe I'll short some of it, or if we're staying above it, I'm likely going to be buying dips until we get up to the next levels. Then when we get up to these next levels, I treat it like anything else. I'm shorting up here until, we break above it. And then same as if we sell down here, I'm sure on this day I might have caught this bounce here. But if not, then I likely got stopped out trying to be long here. But then again, you just short down to the next level, and you just, the market has been respecting these very, very well for us. And so that's what I do every day. I wake up in the morning, and then even, I even did it today, and I pull up my same chart and I go to the chart and I say, okay, where are we trading? And right off the bat, I look at this and I say, okay, we are pushing up to this 100% fib, and we're instantly rejecting. We are not finding buyers off the open at all. And then I have my next major daily level right here. So at this point, I started looking short. And so, we got this 562.48. And so once I see that early in the day and I kind of form my, I don't want to say a bias, because don't get me wrong, if this turned around and we shot right up above it, then I start looking for a move to this 100% fib. Who knows when it comes, but I start looking for that, full retracement right there. And so then I'm looking for shorts here. So I go to my real intraday trading chart that has, more levels or whatever it is. Obviously, we made a big move today, but when I'm starting the day, I'm really just looking at a few levels here. Obviously, the opening range wasn't set that early in the day. And then since I always start on the daily looking at SMAs, then I load my studies. Oop. And so at this point, I have my day all set up. I'm ready to watch. I know that I have a trend from pre-market. We'll remove the opening range so you don't have to look at it. I know that I have my trend up from pre-market. For anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, I always take note of the trends in the pre-market. You can't, that was where the market was buying. So we want to see if they want to continue buying there. And so, like I said, I had seen us rejecting my daily level up here. I obviously don't have it on this chart, but started to feel comfortable looking for shorts. And then this was one of my very first trades of the day. We got this big bounce up off of this trend and closed right at this level. And it was one that, I was very close to getting shaken out of because we were really buying over it, but I'm at my level. So I shorted. And that's what I did. I got the nice short off of these highs. And then I was out right here. And so this is how I plan this trade. And big moves in the market, they're making it a little crazy on us. I sat here and I watched the market and I watched the market. And I knew if we broke below this level, we were staying below my daily level, we break below this level, then I'm going to be looking to short the first bounce up to it. And so I knew that over here. I knew that at this candle. And then I knew that at this candle, there was the breakdown. And so I start looking for the bounce. And this is a risky trade, especially early in the day. And so when you're scalping, you need to be ready to really, really respect your rules, respect your stops. And so this was one that definitely could have gone against me pretty good, but my hard stop was basically going to be buying over 563. And so how did I come to that level? Was first these highs over here, 563-ish, and then it's just a whole number, and that also would have broken us above our daily level. So stop loss is defined. Entry is the first bounce as close to up here, my 562.60 level, as I can get. And so I know all of this before any of these candles are formed. I don't care. Like at one point, this one was ugly and people were shorting that, And so now I know my entry. I know my stop out if things go really wrong. And if we close above this level, close above my daily level, then I'm also stopping out. That's just the tight stop. The worst case scenario stop is up here. Tight stop is just to close above our levels. You know, we're scalping though, so we have to respect those, especially this early in the day where contracts are getting beat up pretty quickly if it's going against you. And so thankfully I got this nice move and took my entry here, went against me. And then I have to think of target. And I know that I have all my EMAs below me. So this is something that's really, really working against me. But my target is this trend. And, you know, you could call it a double bottom, could have been a double bottom, but my target is this trend. And so when I start looking at that, I get to say to myself, okay, I'm risking worst case scenario about 60 cents of upside. Best case scenario, I'm getting about $1 of downside. So it's not an excellent risk reward trade, but you let the trade work. And then I sold right here. Of course, I sold too early. You know, that is what it is. But I knew my entry, and then I knew, oh yeah, there is an opening range study pinned to my tab. It puts up these blue lines. I should take them off because it's just kind of ugly on the eyes, you know, but they come into it. They play a role in trades later. And so I know my entry, I know my stop out, I know my take profit. I know every single one of these before I enter the trade. That is the most crucial part of any scalp. Then for me, when I'm scalping, I don't want to hold longer than 2, 3, 4 candles if I don't have to. You know, if you're scalping, generally speaking, you're trading same days. So you want to be right soon. You know, you don't want it to take a while because the longer it takes, the harder it is to make a nice return on. And so when I entered this trade, as I said, got a little bit worried. Obviously, candle closed nice for me under VWAP, under EMA. Next one was not able to get over VWAP and then closed under the next EMA. Finally, this candle opened and I had a limit sell here because it's a trend. So I expect a bounce. This is a scalp. This is my target. This is where my limit sell was. And it basically just blasted through that and filled me on the way down. And so at that point, now I don't have any confirmation to take any other trades. All we have going for us is that we have, you know, broken trends, broken downside. We've sold down to the hourly 20. And next candle is now below the hourly 20. There's nothing for me to do here. And then all I do when I'm scalping is I sit and I watch. And I get to watch a few candles. And so I watch, you know, candles bounce up, break the hourly 20, go to the level, reject back down. This one closes above it. Again, we get just sideways, sideways, sideways. None of this has huge interest to me. These are obviously plenty big enough moves. I mean, if you can't figure out how to make money on a dollar move up scalps on SPY, you got to work on that, you know? So plenty of money to be made in this scalping range right here, but it just, none of it appealed to me. I mean, I had levels close, you know, none of the risk reward was there for me for a scalp. I think I might have taken a couple until right down here. And this is where I start watching for a scalp. And the reason that I like this one is it's the first one kind of breaking the range that we're in, closing on the lows. And then this is for me, and you know, Noodle just brought it up. We're 15 minutes to the opening range being set. And so ultimately it ended up being set on the low of this candle, even though, you know, over here's 8 o'clock. This was the lowest low. So I start to watch because the opening range is, you know, it's coming. And so the next trade that I take is I'm looking for a bounce at the opening range. And so I wanted to talk about this trade specifically because I'm looking for a bounce at the opening range right here. So I take it. And this one is one that I get in and I'm not looking for a big bounce. I know I said I don't like this range. I'm looking for initially a move up 50 cents to this 9 EMA. So I get my bounce. And I only had in this trade, you know, I only had 3 contracts. And I get my bounce right here. I trim one of my contracts and then move my stop up. And don't move my stop up to break even, unfortunately. And on the very next candle, instantly get stopped out for a loss overall on this trade because I trimmed my one and then I stopped out a two in the red. And so this was one of those unfortunate trades where I scalped it and I just had to respect my stop. I moved my stop loss up. It was on the chart. So I stop out as soon as we break below that 560 level. Of course, in the end, I'm happy I got stopped out, but this was a trade where I wasn't paying enough attention. I should have noticed we're rejecting out the trend. We're rejecting all these EMAs. We're really staying below the hourly 20, but I love a double bottom on the hourly range or the opening range. So I take that bounce shot and then I get stopped out. Well, at this point, that's when I slow down and I start to say, okay, market's really selling and I'm a scalper, but I want to always go back and refer those daily charts. So that's what I do. I go to the daily chart and I watch and I say, okay, our next big level is 557. And so we've just broken the opening range. I go back to my, SPY chart that I actually trade. I look at it, I say, here's the opening range, here's the opening range break. We're just holding this level. I have no interest in trading right here personally as a scalper. Yeah, exactly. Step down on the hourly 20 and it happened like right before. All things I should have taken note of for sure. Or I should have just taken them all off at the first target, but I was trying to catch that bounce. And so no interest in trading here, no interest in trading here. I know my major daily level is at 557. And then when I'm in here on my more day trading scalping chart, I actually see that I got a nice little cluster of levels down here. There's none of this $1.30 gap between them in a, let's see, an 80-cent range, give or take. I have three levels. When I see something like that, I start to say to myself, okay, that's strong. And then I have my big 557. And so it was around this time, so one of these couple candles, I hopped into voice chat. And I want to talk about this trade too, because I was, in voice chat for it. So people actually caught it. And so they were talking and they were saying, oh, we think 555 is the next big level. It is, but there's stuff in between there. So I mentioned to them, hey, 557 is where I would be looking for a bounce. And so set it up here. And then as we came into here, I started saying, hey, we're at that 557 level. And then in voice chat, that's what I said, somewhere between these two candles. I said, hey, I'm in the SPY calls off of 557. And I was looking for a scalp. Mostly, that was all that I wanted. Well, ultimately, it ended up being a much better, day trade there for me. But I entered here 557-ish, I was right around there. It was when this candle was red. But 557-ish, my stop was going to be down here 50 or 556.65, so risking 35 cents. And then my first target was going to just be this 557.38. It's basically a 1-1 risk reward, not a great trade, but strong enough levels that I felt it was worth it. And so I took that entry. Next candle closed above there, so I didn't take a trim on this quick bounce. And then next candle up to here, 558 level, I trim them. This is where I take my first pretty substantial trim. You get a buck move in two candles, you take a substantial trim. And then at this 9 EMA, unfortunately, that's where I was out. That was all I was looking for. Trend was down, everything was down, market was selling, all the big names are selling, XLF, XLE selling. And so I'm looking for a scalp. That's all I'm looking for. I'm fighting the trend. And then obviously if we zoom out, it ended up putting in a nice run. I entered down here. First major trim was here, and then I was all the way out here, basically at the 9 EMA. And then again, it just continued to push on up. And so I wait, I'll never long the first break of a trend. Could you have long these 9 EMAs? Sure. But trend is still down. You don't want to be looking long on, other than for quick bounces when you're very extended from the trend, look for a quick bounce, and then if we push back up, start breaking up, start getting above EMA, start reclaiming more and more levels, that's when we start to look for long trades. Ultimately, this one, I think I did take a trade around here somewhere, maybe a quick little short on these. And then Oh yeah, short off the top of the opening range. That's what it was. I shorted up here somewhere on this opening range. And I caught a nice couple little sells there. I didn't catch this whole candle. And then again, I sat and I waited. And my next trade was virtually the exact same trade that I took before. So I viewed this as, we got a nice push up, failed the breakout, come down and double bottom at my 557 level. If I liked this cluster of levels before, then I should like it again if I have faith in my levels, especially when it's potentially setting a double bottom right there. So this is one that I think I actually, and this is weird, but I think I entered up here. And the reason that I entered up here was I liked these candles. To me, this is a bullish candle. To me, this is a bullish candle. To me, this is a bullish candle. And so I entered basically right on the close of this candle. And then I took the scalp up. I got my first trim right here, 558, took my second trim at the trend, and then ultimately got stopped out at break even, 15 minutes later or whatever, just on runners because I had a couple left. And so that was my two nice scalp trades today on that. And then my final one was down here. And this was something I think I even talked about it in the voice chat a little bit. This was one of my final trades. Oh yeah, this might have been when I was talking to a person who mentioned they were in there earlier. This is one of my final trades. Try to not talk about it. We were doing some teaching in there, and they had a level, my buddy, the person in Mastermind had a level down here. I had this level here. So I watched this form, and then I didn't hit it right down here. I waited for this bounce up to here. And I took the break of our level, close above our level, retest again, just for another scalp to the 9 EMA. And then I think I might have taken one up to there, or I might have just been all out at the 9 EMA, end of day, little scalp. And so that's how I look for trades all day long. You guys might notice I don't, and everybody's aware, I don't like to trade short. There was some short entries, like I said, I think I took one here, but that was, I think, my only short of the day on a great big old sell day. I just like to wait for technical levels to come and try them. Plan everything ahead of time, like even this one. You take your entry here. Your stop is a close below there. You know your targets. So ideal world, your stop is tiny, 10, 15 cents. Worst case scenario, 25 cents. That's where you're going to take a hard stop. And you're looking for a little 30-cent move up. So that's how I scalp. Now, if I want to day trade, and so this, we just did quick run through on SPY. Now, if I want to day trade, I'm going to look for a setup. And I know that this is probably just the wrong one to talk about because things didn't go well today in this stock for OOT. But this is AMD. And this is something that I actually did in Mastermind as well. This is not a trade that I caught, but it's a trade that had I been paying better attention, this was just an absolutely perfect setup for a short off the open today. So what we have going on here, I did the demonstration. We are going to do it tonight. These are my daily levels. AMD has a lot of major bounce places, a lot of major rejections, big consolidation areas. So it's a pretty easy one to find levels on. And so you always want to find levels around where you're trading. Obviously, none of these levels are from the last couple of days. They're all from, big bounce points before, big rejection points before. That's why we have these levels on here. And then this was a major range. We've talked about it in my classes a bunch. First this one, and then next this one. But really this one was just smoking people, trying to catch the breakout, trying to catch the breakdowns that just never came. So this is a range that I've cared about for a long time. Well, if I'm looking for a day trade, I'm frequently, yeah, exactly. Hope no one was in Magicians, but this was just one. And again, I didn't take this trade. I wish that I took this trade, but I didn't take this trade. And so, like any other trade, It doesn't matter your day trader, scalper, whatever it is. Like any other trade, you start on the daily time frame and you try to get yourself an idea of, you know, where are we trading? What are some things that we're looking for? Are we at tops of ranges? Are we at bottoms of ranges? All of those kinds of things. Look for some things that we care about, and then try to start building a trade plan based on that. So if we look at AMD, and I pulled up the SMAs because that's personally always what I use on here. And we pull up the chart. We know we have this big consolidation zone. We know we've rejected almost to the cent an old important level for us, provided big breakdowns, big bounces. That 162.38 has been big. Obviously, here, all these rejections off of it, and then another failure off of it. So today we come into the day knowing, okay, we got 162 above us. We got 160, big whole number. We got this range low right here. And then if we zoom in, and I'm going to put these levels on here, I personally, I don't generally speaking put them on my charts, but we're going to put them on here because they're there. And so first one is going to be that 200 SMA. And then because we were, finally above it for the first time in a long time. And then the next one is going to be our 50 SMA on the daily. And I'll just make it a different blue color. Our 50 SMA on the daily. So if we come into this day on AMD, we know if we start giving up the main blue levels, we want to be looking short. We're at this range top. We've had a parabolic move. We've had a big rejection. We finally had like a kind of inside day, I consider it an inside day. Some people don't because there's no body on this candle, but I consider it an inside day. And so now we come into the day and we don't have to we're watching price action. Here's yesterday. Here's the day before. We're watching this price action play out, and then we come into today and we're at this, we're at the range top, and we come into today and we see an instant rejection at it. We start looking short no matter what. And then as we start trading our day, it becomes like this was like a unbelievably simple short. And for a day trader, they aren't often going to be this perfect, but today was just a day where you could have like shorted AMD and you basically never had a reason to exit your short trade. Right off the bat, push up into the gap, fail the gap, then fail, the gap again, fail, or the range bottom rather, fail, 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 fail. So now we're not looking for upside. At least I'm personally not looking for upside. I can turn on my studies. I'm personally not looking for upside. And, oh, look, we even had the pre-market high up there. And we've given up every single EMA. And now we give up a major level right here. And so for me, I'm looking short. And we finally had a close below the level. All EMAs pointed down, VWAPs pointed down, EMAs are dropping below VWAP. We have if I tried, I could probably find 10 reasons to be short right here. So we take this bounce, and then this red line, pre-market low, and this salmon-y colored level, that's the 200-day moving average. So obviously, take a trim here. Well, if we get below them, now your stops are there. We come down to the next daily level, obviously, take a little trim. At this point, we've had $2.50 move in our direction. So you can hold it. You can do whatever you want. If it's me, obviously after this bounce, I'm going to take a trim at the opening range. It again just continues to track down to now we're at our next major moving average where we take a little bounce. And as expected, when you break through a moving average, you knife down to the next level. And then for me, and I would never hold this long. Everybody knows that. I'm not trying to pretend I would, but this is talking day trading. We had 10 reasons to be short. We had 0 reasons to be long. And now we look for reasons that we should stay in the trade and reasons to get out of the trade. And so if we come down to here and you're a day trader, now you want to say to yourself, okay, we have sliced through 2 major daily moving averages. I'm personally going to expect some sort of a bounce, and So I would tighten up my stop here, and you would be fully out of the trade after catching a $5 downside move on AMD. Don't get me wrong, it continued to sell $3 more, but this is one of those things where we had so much confirmation as a day trader to get into this trade and hold this trade that it was just a really beautiful short. And you guys know that, I mean, I don't like shorting, I don't like trading short, but this was one of those ones where it was an absolutely perfect setup to be potentially looking to hold this trade and move this trade through the day. And I mean, God, it even honestly, you would have been so deep in the money that like nobody would scold you for even swinging a runner on that after that kind of move. But just a very easy, nice day trade. And even if you only held it for this much, you held it for 2 or 3 hours. I know it's not a full day trade, but this was just a really awesome setup for a short today. Obviously, there's a bunch of those in the market today. Everything sold. All the big tech names have a very similar chart, but not as many of them had as perfect of a setup as AMD did to just give you countless reasons to be in there. As I said, wasn't in this trade. Unfortunately, didn't look at it until I realized that somebody had alerted like 3 averages on calls in a day on this thing. And then so I looked at the chart when somebody asked me about it. And like this thing is just, I mean, it's rare that you get to see something just track like level to level as you would expect it to. Just yeah, magician sold calls, I think. Just so perfectly on that. And as I said, there's a lot of those tech names. Like you look at Amazon, again, really nice short. This was one of the only other ones I liked that they had bought us up into the trend on this daily trend. This was actually from our class on last Sunday or something. Uh, buy us up into this trend. And that is where, for me, it was the first place that you really could have been looking to get short. And so we had that kind of, there was a couple of these setups, but with the strength in the market pushing it up to this 181 level, I would have personally been expecting that bounce at 180. And so I didn't love this setup quite as much. And by the time we had sold 180, I could have got in here and caught the real waterfall level to level, but I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't into that chasing thing. And then, I started seeing the market consolidate and ultimately decided to sell again. But so a lot of short setups for day trades today. But AMD was just the one that stand out to me that it gave you and it's actually interesting just to go back to AMD. AMD yesterday or today gave you every single reason to be short. And then this price action yesterday, holding this level, holding above that 200 day, it's actually interesting because this is a great setup to, albeit risky, swing long on. We're having our first daily close over that 200. You can look for that little pop, and it would have been lower yesterday. It would have even been down here. So you could have bought that pop, and I would have fully supported that long swing. And ultimately, the long swing ended up paying a few bucks and then led into a beautiful short trade on it. And so it's just one of those days where the market really set it up for a nice potential move, and gave you a lot of reasons to be in one direction on that trade, basically no reasons to be in the other direction. And so it's not often you find a day trade that perfect where you can just, everything lines up so good. You can be in there and just hold it for most of the day. And so that is really like, that's the type of thing I look for my ideal trade setup. And then again, just to kind of like, really beat it in, what to me a perfect setup looks like is, rejecting important levels, pull 160 number, rejecting that previous range bottom, multiple rejection candles, failure of a major level, and then you short that push up because you're below all EMAs, you're below VWAP, you're below important levels, you've rejected ranges. So you got 5 things in your favor. And then just below you got that 200-day moving average. So whether you're trimming at the hourly 20 or the 200-day, it's like a 10-cent difference. Who cares? plenty of reasons to trade it down to there. Once you're below it, plenty of reasons to stay in the trade. And so to me, this is one of those ones, they won't always look this good, but it's a really excellent thing. Like, if you have that much confirmation on the trade, take the trade. And this was just one that really, really provided it today. Unfortunately, a lot of people were on the wrong side of it though. And so last one that I'm going to discuss, is not, it's not one of the ones, it's not a normal one that we talk about or anything like that. And it's actually something that maybe we'll try to talk about too, but it's actually something that Tilio got my eyes on. He's really good at the travel trade. And so today was an interesting day for the trade. He might already be out of this trade, but it was when I saw it and when he pulled it up, this actually just really looked like a trade that I had some interest in being in. And so it's CCL, Carnival Cruises, for anybody who doesn't know. Nice slow mover, very safe. And I nibbled on this position today going into close. Only I don't love it because it rejected our level, but and we have Jackson Hole tomorrow. Those are the two reasons I don't love the trade. However, the trade is still very, very well intact. If we zoom out big picture, of course, we're in a range, but we're in that lower third of the range. But if we zoom in a little bit, we've had nice bounce up. We've had a trend break. We finally are reclaiming the SMA as of today. And what Tilio had pointed out was just kind of, this nice little pullback consolidation we had going, forming a really, really nice base. And I'll remove the gray box, forming a really, really nice base down here around, about 1530 or so. And so I look at this trade and it's just, and I believe he saw some flow on this to back it up. I look at this trade and was a swing trade that interests me. Is it a great looking daily candle? No, but we had a lot of those today. We are still holding exactly where we should. We're sitting up here. We attempted the break that we failed, and we're closing above this SMA for the first time, well, basically right on top of it, really. And we have an extremely tight risk on the trade. We're looking for, my entry on it, I think I got in it right about, I don't know, 1540, 1545. And I'm risking 15 cents, 20 cents of downside. So delta wise on the contract, I'm risking $5, $4 total per contract. And then on the upside, I'm looking for about a 30-cent move to the first target. And then final target for me is going to be up here around this 16 or so. I'm not looking for a huge move on it. I'm not looking for anything like that. We're holding the gap. We're holding the levels we need to. We're holding SMAs. We have not great volume, but plenty of volume that's consolidating. I love nice kind of slow upticks in volume on consolidation. So I have a bunch of things in my favor saying that I think the move is going to come sooner than later. I did buy time on these. I went to mid-September because why wouldn't you? They're cheap, So I think I'm in them, I don't even remember, somewhere around $55 or something, maybe even less than that, $53. And I'll take my stop for my $4 loss. Or if we push upside, I'll be moving in the money. And so because I'm moving in the money, my delta and gamma are increasing. So I will make more money on my basically 35-cent upside move than I'll lose on my, potentially 20-cent downside move. And then if I get the full move to 16, that intrinsic will really kick in. And so this to me was definitely a swing trade that I liked. It's one that I'm in, obviously, can't enter it right now, but it's a swing trade that I liked, and it just had a bunch of those reasons for me to want to be in there, holding that support, doing all the things I want it to do with a nice little tight stop on it. And maybe we gap below it, but even worst case scenario, we likely bounce this 1220, at least enough for me to decide if I want to get out of the trade. So this is just type of swing trade setup I really, really like to look for. Next one we're going to talk about is tea. Obviously, I've been preaching tea to everybody. Tea respects levels like nobody's business. We've had this 1942, and obviously, you always got to keep track of 1950s. I don't put that kind of thing on the chart though, because we know been holding this 1942 for couple of weeks now after our big rejection up there at 20. And so I've been playing it most days, buy that 1942 dip, sell it up there 1950, 1955 if you can get there. And it's a really nice little move, stress-free, And so today was the first day where it was pretty ugly early day for tea. If we look at the 5-minute chart, we were selling, we had a really nice spike that was instantly sold off. So obviously we sold back to our 1942 level, and I took the entry here. This time, rather than playing the weeklies, I bought the next week contracts, just so I could have a little bit more safety. Tomorrow's Friday, going into the weekend. But this is another one for basically all the same reasons. I can even, let's see, I wonder which one it is. Oh. So here we go. Oh, I got 1949 on there, but it's 1942. So this is one that I did in Mastermind just a little bit ago. I want to bring it down to my real level. 1942. This is one I did in Mastermind recently, and this is a swing trade a setup that I like a lot. And it's one that a lot of people will be confused why I would like this trade, because technically speaking, T is in a big old range right here. And it is in a big old range. And we're at the top of the range. So generally, you kind of want to short the top of that range. And so why did I look to get long here? And why did I buy a little bit more time as opposed to just trying to catch the volatile pop? Well, one, if I'm wrong, I am very confident that I will at the very least get a bounce at this 1930. And so since I entered in 1942, I got 12 cents of risk on the trade. I'm going to lose $5 a contract. So I knew my risk on the trade. Upside, I have 20 cents to my furthest target. However, we've had good earnings. We have all SMAs pointed up. We're technically speaking in a strong uptrend. We are up well off those lows. If we look at the weekly chart, we have reclaimed that weekly 200, and we have a nice building through here, nice consolidation. You can't have breakouts without consolidation. So we've had a really nice consolidation going on about a month in here. So then I go to the daily chart, and again, just looking at this, we've tried it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. You guys know that I'm an adamant believer of 80% of breakouts fail, but when that 4th, 5th time comes, you're building a base, you're gradually building these lows up higher. That's when you want to start potentially looking for the breakout. You don't want to buy the highs up here. You do still want to be buying the dip. But this is the point where I really do want to start looking for the breakout. And I know that I have the SMAs in my favor. I have a bunch of support below me. I have very little resistance above me. I have the trend pointed up. And then there's another EMA combo that if anybody has been to my EMA classes, that I like to take note of a lot on the longer time frames. And it's the 13 and 34. This gave me my idea that I wanted to get in today. We are retesting the EMA, almost to the cent. 1334, we got the other one sitting right at the trend, the 34 sitting right at the trend. So I know that I have some things in my favor. My swing trading EMAs are pointed up nice and even. They got a nice even gap between them. Everything looks good to there. We dip to the EMAs that they've basically been riding upwards, and you enter your swing trade. Today was a day where if you wanted, you could even trimmed for your 15, 20% into close if you wanted it. But now we start to look for that little pop. And if we get up to the 1960, we trim most of it off. But because we've tried this so many times, if we're poking above it, we want to see if we're going to be able to stay above it. And so this is, again, just another one that, plenty of volume, plenty of buyer volume. Again, nice consolidation at a level we know has been strong over and over and over and over again. We're trying these highs over and over and over again. So one is going to give. And when I look at this and I look at all of the reasons to be bullish versus bearish, I have so many more things in the bullish category that I take the chance on the swing trade here and let it go, and see what happens. That's all we can do. And so that's my other swing trade that I really like right now. That's my other setup that I really like on swing trades. This is more of a breakout setup. You can identify these on all kinds of charts. But T just had a really nice setup going into it. And so that is well, those are the main ones I want to talk about. I actually do have one more that Tilio got my eyes on. This TTD one, the trade desk. It used to be a favorite of people to trade. Nobody really talks about it anymore. But Tilio brought this one up as well. And the main thing that I'm watching is this 102.75 level. I think that if we do end up breaking it, I mean, we'll likely go to this high first, that weekly high first. If we do end up breaking it, I think that 108's really, really plausible. And then likely that 110, 111 area. Seems like a pretty easy target to me. And we're almost getting that confirmation again to get in there. It's a hard one. It feels like you're chasing it after the gigantic move off these last earnings. And then they had the really ugly move a few earnings ago. This was kind of when I quit watching them. But people obviously have interest in it again. Holding above that 100 level. We got all SMAs pointed in the right direction, coming off the back of a nice earnings report a couple of weeks ago. So I zoom into the daily. And I start to watch and I start to wait for a trigger. And I'm actually mad about this one because I didn't take it into close just because of Jackson Hole. But I would have bought time on it if I did, enough to probably be okay. But excellent setup for us, as if you're a swing trader, you don't want to spend time on those 5-minute charts. You don't want to get too caught up and stuff. This was one that had shown us a very, very obvious top, very, very obvious stop out level. And if I'm looking to swing it, it gave the entry today. We don't have many levels on this chart because we don't need many levels as swing traders. We want to have very good levels. It's a quality over quantity thing when you're swing trading for sure. And so today we're double bottoming, 20 cents above our entry. This end of day entry on a swing trade, which for me is a lot of the time where I like to enter them, either lunchtime or end of day is when I'm looking to enter a swing. And nice double bottom, barely above our level, offered a really, really nice entry today. And then, Jackson Hole's tomorrow, so it can kind of kill all trade plans. Really, you're going to be stopping out on a daily close or, maybe even a strong 4-hour close under the 102.74 level, or if they really get to sell in this 101.68 or 101.70 area. So you got about a buck risk on the downside there. And that's really it. That's where I would stop out. And then when you look at these ultimate upside targets, you're looking for $5 move, $6 move upside with a $1 a risk downside. It might take a few days. I don't know if it'll come in one day, but this is one that we'll see how Jackson Hole plays out, but it'll definitely be one I have my eye on going into tomorrow to see if the market looks like it's going to push. I have to believe that this thing will be pretty ready to take its bounce and continue pushing. And it's a trade that I'll likely be looking to swing on. Just enough things, enough volume, breaking levels, trend is strong up, breaking above a previous really big resistance. It was a big deal here 2 years ago. It was a big deal here 2 months ago. So we want to always have our eyes on that. And it just is given a nice, low risk, high reward upside trade for a swing trade. So those are the things I look for: swing trading, scalping, day trading. I know it was quick, and all based on technical stuff, not, we didn't get into option contracts or selections or anything like that. Just the technicals. What do I look for? Some things that I look for when swing trading, day trading, and scalping. So any questions? We got a few more minutes. If not, we can always call it, but hopefully people got some questions. No, Halliburton. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to, I don't know. That's just a hard one to know what it's going to do. It's just had such, like, I don't know. It's had a hard couple of years. Hard to, chase things that are down 50% over the last year. That's always it's always a tricky thing for me, like that 200 day. I mean, for me, no, I would not be looking short here. I don't trade Halliburton at all. I keep track of it a little bit just because it's one of those, giant names. Look at that weekly 200 though. That's a pretty big deal, the weekly 200 being right there. Man, but I gotta be honest, this is actually like, do you trade? Who asked me? Omar, you asked me about this. You asked me about some unique ones, don't you? So it's tricky here. I don't, huh. It's actually like a pretty like tradable point. I can't lie. I mean, we got that the 200 day was somewhere around like 30, 50 or whatever. It's hard to want to short it here, but it below that like weekly 200. Let's go back and see exactly where it was, 31.15. Below that weekly 200, you likely it's like right there. So below that weekly 200, and this might have been the opportunity, you you likely flush to 30 really, really quick. And so I don't hate it here. I would watch that weekly 200 and you totally got a trade there. I mean, there's a trade to be had if you want to watch it, if this is something you like trading. I think you got a buck downside or just over a buck upside off of that thing either way. But take the trade the market presents. But that's actually a pretty sweet one. If you're going to take a trade on that, send me a message. I'll hit that one with you. Yeah, right on, Christina. Thank you. That's a pretty good one. Nice eye, Omar. Oh, we got Lambos. Sideways tomorrow until Jackson Hole. I think Pal talks like 30 minutes after open. Um, and so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I know that like a couple of years ago, we had just an insane Jackson Hole day, and I know everybody's just hoping on that again, but there's just no telling what'll happen. I don't. Yeah, he does. I know. I don't know if we will have another, $5 down red candle or $5 up green candle from him saying hello. I think, yeah, there's Lambo's nose. Yeah, I don't think you'll get that from him saying hello. Like we did that last time. God, you guys want to try to look at that? It was a wild one. I mean, that was like a candle that'll haunt you for the rest of your life. So let's see, that would have been August. I mean, uh, probably one of these days back here. Oh no, that wasn't the 2023 one. That was 2022 Jackson Hole. Oh, it's probably that one, huh? Oh no, it's that one. That's the pal candle. That was a day. I mean, that was like insane. What is that, $15 down day on it? 419.96 to 405.25. And that happened like aggressive. I mean, this candle was like uh it was just insane. Like it was insane. I mean, that was an insane day. There's a lot of those days in 2020. I mean, look at this off the lows. I remember that one more than I remember that one. Yeah, it was. I mean, that was like as far as like news reactions, that was hands down the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I know that, we all get the delayed feed or whatever, but like I listened to it and he like dude, there just was no need. Like he said he talked for like a few minutes before he got into anything. And I know that our feed ain't that delayed. And he never even like I don't know. It really was just that guy said hello and the market absolutely tanked. What date was that? That was I'm gonna try to look it up. This was like one of these. I don't even remember. Well, let's see. It probably started around the same time. So I think it was right around here. I mean, you flushed $5 in a few minutes. It was one of the crazier days I've seen. And then you get these just, oh my God, these aggressive pops to flush $4 again. You know, this was a good one. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong day. What are we doing here? Custom. Oh, we've lost it. We've lost it. Okay, well, that's gonna do it, everybody. Thanks for being here. I appreciate y'all. Small crowd tonight. Love those. Hopefully everybody got what I was trying to put out there. And of course, if you ever have questions on entries, exits, any of that, you feel free to shoot me a message. Yeah, thank you all so much. And be really safe tomorrow. It's a wild one. It's a wild one. Yep. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.